G'day fishy people, my name is Norm. I am the creator of Cookie's Fishroom on Facebook, the group who helps you with all your fishy and aquarium problems. I have now created this YouTube channel to help as many people out there as I can with the same issues. So hopefully you could take a moment of your time to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell and join our Facebook group. If you search in Facebook for Cookie's Fishroom, you will find us there. I will also provide a link to our group at the bottom of this video once we've finished. So, just quickly, a little intro to our Facebook group. We have got an abundance of experience there, decades in fact, that cover everything from diseases to plants and snails. Aquarium layouts, aeration, we've got threads on diseases, how to notice them, how to fix them, what to fix them with. We've also got threads on quarantine processes for fish, for plants, and I'm not just talking about guppies and endlers, which is personally my favorite, but all fish, all aquariums. So if you could take a moment of your time to join us on Facebook, we have got a drama-free environment that is safe for children and adults, people of all ages, and you don't have to feel uncomfortable to ask a silly question because there is no such thing as a silly question. You don't have to feel intimidated and you don't have to feel embarrassed by anything. Come join us. I will provide the link at the bottom of this video once we're done. Please don't be shy, and I look forward to meeting you all shortly. Now, today's video, I'm going to cover the quarantine process of when we get new fish, what I do and what is I found to work the best. Now, so a lot of people I speak to on a daily basis don't quarantine their fish. To me, this is the biggest error made next to not cycling your tank with fish keeping. It is vital that you quarantine everything that comes into your tank, be it snails, plants, shrimp, or fish. Now, fish we're focusing on today, and it is vital that you do this and do it correctly. So, a lot of people say to me, well, I don't have a spare tank to quarantine these fish, so I'll just chuck it into my tank and throw the meds in with them. You don't need a tank to do this. I have done this in a foam container. You can do it in a bucket. You can do it in a tote. Anything that holds water, and if it's a tropical fish or marine warmth, you can do it in. Now, I do mine in a small 20-litre tank, and basically I don't buy large amounts of fish at a time, so 20 litres is fine. Usually the most that comes into me, because my tanks are pretty well established, is 2 or 3 fish at a time, and they're usually guppies or endlers. So the first thing I do is I use water from my established aquarium inside these quarantine tanks, and the reason for that is so the fish can acclimatise to my parameters quicker. You need to be able to have all these necessary meds on hand that I use, if you're going to follow my process settings, that I use for quarantine. So you need aquarium salt, I use weekly in the whole process. Levamisole, you need to have Maracyn 2, and you need to have Blue Planet, or you don't have to have Blue Planet, but Blue Planet is what I use, triple sulfur or tri-sulfur. Now, I'll explain what I use each one for and what we do each week. So mine goes over a 4-week process. In the first week, I add aquarium salt. Now, aquarium salt's important as it helps the natural slime coat of the fish to develop and to protect it from any sort of external outbreaks like fungal issues, Columnaris, and velvet or ick. Any external parasites even. So I can't stress enough how important aquarium salt is during a quarantine process or even in a tank in general. I add salt weekly to my tanks, and that's with water changes. And for the reasons I just mentioned, as you can see, no harm is done to my plants. My snails and other crustaceans are absolutely fine. So there's this huge misconception that it kills snails. I mean, if you dump a bucket load of salt into a tank, it will kill everything. Not only the snails, but the fish and the plants, for sure. But if you follow the instructions on the packaging, I use the API brand, and if you follow those are absolutely safe for all living creatures and plants in the tank. So you don't add salt unless you've done a water change first. So you don't double up on what's already in there. That can cause issues. Now, so first things first, add your aquarium salt depending on the size of your tank. My first week, I treat with Levamisole. Levamisole covers all parasites and worms. So many times you see, let's say, what's a anchorworms, for instance. They are invisible when they first come in on a fish. They come in as eggs. They're tiny, and sometimes they can be found under scales, and you won't see them. Levamisole is brilliant at getting rid of it, and not only does it get rid of it, it gets rid of it fast. So the first week of quarantine is absolutely vital to start with all the parasites and worms, because sometimes they can take a couple of weeks to rear their ugly heads. Now, if you use Levamisole, it will work fast, and given that it's in the first week of the quarantine process, it leaves you with the next 3 weeks to make sure you haven't missed anything and to add additional dosages. And it's safe to work with the other medications that I'm about to mention to use with the other 3 weeks. Week 2, Blue Planet Trisulfur. Again, you can use other brands like API Triple Sulfur, or what I find to work really well is Seachem Sulfaplex. Now, using this sulfur-based medication will help you treat any existing infections, columnaris that you've missed and you haven't seen, because sometimes that doesn't show symptoms, but it's already underway inside the fish, and there's more information on that disease in the video that I did with Michael's Fishroom. I'll supply a link to that too. And fungal infections, which is very common with fish adjusting to new types of water. So you want to use that. And the other thing that it also does, the triple sulfur brand, the Blue Planet Trisulfur brand will also get rid of ick. So that's the other reason why I use the Blue Planet brand. But I'm not sure if the other triple sulfurs do the same thing, get rid of ick, but I know that the Blue Planet brand does. And the other thing is, if you use a 20-litre tank, you don't have to use much medication, which basically your budget doesn't have to be huge on these medications. They last you quite a while. Week 3, Maracyn 2. Now, 3 major issues you have with fish. Fin rot, which people can mix up with nipping. Also, it is a symptom of a secondary infection with columnaris, Popeye, and Dropsy. Now, Maracyn 2 is the only medication that I have found to cure Dropsy. So I can't stress enough how important it is to use Maracyn 2 as part of your quarantine process. I don't go without that medication in my have-to medications box. So order some, get some in, hassle your local fish shop, or jump on eBay. For the US members, I think Chewy has some. So get some, and by all means, always have it on hand. And week 4, I leave for observation. I still dose aquarium salt, but nothing else. That gives it time for any nasties to pop up that I have missed. So I have had examples where Columnaris basically wasn't, the 1 week of treatment with the tri-sulfur wasn't enough, and it reared its ugly head in week 4 on a few of the fish that I had bought. So having that extra week of non-treatment gives the fish a break, and it allows anything you've missed or haven't treated enough to pop up, and to allow you to treat it at more length and time. So I use 4 weeks as a minimum window. You can go 6 or 8 weeks, and the longer the better, to be honest, especially if you're using the same water that's in your, I should say the same parameters as in your other tanks. So it gives the fish a good time to acclimate to your water type, and any stress triggers to trigger any diseases. So that basically sums up what I do and how long I do it for. 4 weeks is a good quarantine process if there's nothing wrong. Usually it can stretch to 6 to 8 weeks if you have issues. So that's my process. That's what works for me. Other people might argue that it doesn't work for them. It's not necessary to put fish through this, etc., etc. But I have found if you don't quarantine your fish and don't pre-treat them with these medications, you're most likely to fork out a fortune for medications later down the road to put all your other fish at risk of parasites, worms, etc. Columnaris can wipe out your tank within days, or even have fin rot destroy a tank. So it's not worth it. You can get away with a 4-week treatment and put all your other fishy friends at no risk and have a happy tank, and you be happy with no stress as well. So that's it in a nutshell. If you want me to answer any questions, jump onto Cookie's Fishroom on Facebook, start a thread, send me a PM. The name is Norm. You'll know who I am. Or I get people asking me and tagging me in things all day, all night. I'm an Aussie, if you can't tell from the accent. So my window for answering questions is during my daytime, but I do have staff who are absolutely fantastic. And we're lucky to have Michael from Michael's Fishroom as part of our group. And if you haven't subscribed to his video, do so too. And thanks again for joining me. I will have another video next week for you to watch. And again, please hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and join us at Cookie's Fishroom on Facebook. Once again, thank you, and bye for now.